It's 4 o'clock, so you start. Go for it.
Nice to be on. Thank you for having me on. I am over here at Huggins Stengel Field. I'm here with the curator of the Huggins Stengel Field, Sean. Sean, come here a second. Sean keeps
What's up, Jesse?
What's up, Sean? How are you, man?
How you doing, brother? Good seeing you.
Sean
Good.
keeps this place alive. This is the old Yankee complex from 1925 until 1962. And so this is the ballpark with Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle. This is the monument to Miller Huggins and Casey Stengel. People still think that they're buried right over here, but they're not. Okay? And I'm going to take you inside to Tasco. Tasco is the largest teenage program in America, the largest. And I was first introduced by Tasco by the great George Steinbrenner, believe it or not. This is the boss in 1992, okay? And that day he introduced me to this program. And as you can see over here, Babe Ruth's uniform is in the locker over here, which is kept in a, what is this, Sean?
These are the original lockers from back when the Yankees used to be here. So these are some of the original lockers. There's some cool pictures of the Miller Huggins with the plaque. Marilyn Monroe was here, which is one of our favorite pictures. There you go, right there. So actual Babe Ruth on the field.
And I'm going to take you out, actually. But, you know, before that, this is Reggie and me in 1977. I just wanted to show off my Afro hairdo.
You had the look, man. You and Reggie knew what you were doing.
Oh, man, that was a beautiful time. And again, the lockers and all that, most of the lockers were torn out so that they could make a, what is that, Sean?
Oh, the computer studio. This is the video editing suite. We teach teenagers InDesign, After Effects, pre-production, post-production, podcasting, a lot of stuff that Jesse knows and masters. Jesse, you got to come down to St. Pete and
I miss you guys down there. Yeah, we got to come teach a class. Tasco's amazing, and the stuff that you do with the youth down in St. Pete is just really, really unbelievable. And the fact that they get to do it in such a cool location makes it even better. So, yeah, we'll come down there soon for sure.
And then,
so who walked through this door right here, Ray? In what movie?
Well, Mickey Mantle naturally walked through here. This is Huggins Stengel Field. This is the field that Mickey Mantle, like I said before, Babe Ruth actually played on this field.
That's amazing.
And I'm walking out to right field right now. And Sean, I want you to tell him the story about what happened right out here.
Which one? With Babe or with?
When you threw me out of here.
Oh, how ironically, so this gentleman, I use that term loosely, but you can only be on this field with a permit because it's a historical designation. So I kept seeing this gentleman. So finally I went up to one day. I was like, hey, my man, I thought it was a homeless guy. His name was Ray Negron. So I kicked him off the field. And of course he says, oh, I work for the Yankees. I said, yeah, so do I. Everyone works for the Yankees. So I tried kicking him off, and I haven't been able to get rid of him since. He's been
not a
to me the last decade and a half, and he's still here. So it was meant to be. He was writing one of his books out here. He used to come here and get the spirits and things like that. So,
no, my inspiration to start my first book, to actually have the courage to do it, was by sitting out here and imagining that Babe Ruth was actually here with me. And when you look at the movie, The Pride of the Yankees, and at the end of the movie, when Lou Gehrig is like trying to grab more strength to be able to go on, it was done right on this field. And so, you know, who wouldn't be inspired? And, you know, I mean, look at the tower. The tower, you can see the movie.
To the right. Yeah, just a little bit to the right. Or maybe
How's that?
Your left. There you go. That water tower, yeah. That's one of the coolest things.
It's incredible. And
that was put in 1924, the year before.
The year before the Yankees got here.
And why did the Yankees come here, right?
Well, the Yankees actually came here because, you know, Babe Ruth was getting into a lot of trouble in New Orleans.
Yep, exactly.
And so they figured if we go to St. Petersburg, small place, and at the time, old people were still coming here.
I think old people are still coming there, Ray.
Yeah, but you know what happened? Babe Ruth came down here, and everybody from New Orleans and New York and everywhere else followed him, and it became the Babe's town, you know, and the Roaring 20s really roared with the Babe, and that's what happened.
That's amazing.
But I'm gonna walk back inside over here so we could start like the line of questions, etc.
Right.
I know you want to drill me and stuff.
Oh, I would love nothing more, Ray. And in the meantime, while you're walking in, we already have a couple. Billy Capola wants to know if you played there when you were with the Pirates organization.
I wish I could say I did, but I did not. I played in Bradenton. You know, I played in Bradenton, and when I proved to America that I couldn't hit, I was back working for the Yankees. But
there you go. It was meant to be, though. So we'll get into that. Billy Blitzer says, great stories and information. Hello to everybody that's watching. There's a little question card box at the bottom. If you want to type your questions, we can actually share them on screen, and we'll be able to show them, answer them. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But Ray Negron, we gave our guests a teaser, right? You were on our episode 2 while we were working out the technical difficulties, but you came on the Hot Stovers. You were at Huggins Stengel Field, so you took us around there, which was super cool. I'm sure for those of you who haven't been there, get out there. You're a Yankees community consultant. You're a Ted Williams Hall of Fame Community Award winner. You won an award from the New York Hot Stove League, our organization, for your work in the community. You're an actor. You're a writer. You're a director. You were a former pro ball player. You're an agent. Dad, what don't you do, Ray Negron? Introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, you did a nice job. I appreciate that. And right now, I would give all of that up to have our world back, because this is unreal.
Yeah.
What's happening in the world, for, you know, America. I mean, it's like a science fiction.
Yeah, it's like a movie.
Okay, and in my life, I'm a movie buff, as you all know. And I've seen all those crazy movies, Rod Serling, The Twilight Zone, and I always used to say, thank God that this can't ever really happen. And it's happening. And I get a call this morning from my friend Luis Castillo, and they some guys go knock on a door, and they say they were from the government. So the people opened the door, and they robbed them. And this is only the beginning. And I have a lot of family in the Bronx. So I feel extremely guilty to be sitting in St. Petersburg, sunny. I'm playing ball out here. I mean, I don't belong here.
And at the same time, you're using your platform. I mean, we're watching you on social. For all of you who follow Ray, you're using your platform to get the good message out and help people. And that's the message, right? That's what people should be doing right now.
The people, look, and I'm going to throw this at you. A little boy came up to me when I was speaking at a school, and this little boy knew he was going to die. He had cancer. Okay, his mom is probably watching the show right now. And the little boy said to me, if I do one thing a day, one good thing a day, until the day that I die, will God let me into heaven? And he lived that. I told him, naturally, yeah, you're going to heaven anyway. But this little boy, until the day he died, he made it a point to try to do one good thing a day because he wanted to go to heaven. And the courage that that little boy showed me is like nothing I've ever seen in my life. And like everybody else, I'm afraid for everybody. I'm afraid for me. I'm afraid for everybody. And if we live our life the way that little boy did, then we have a fighting chance at getting our world back. And that's all I'm asking. I'm asking that if we could all try to do one good thing a day. And believe it or not, it's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. Believe it or not, because we live in such a selfish society. So anyway, that's all I got to say.
No, it's well said. And I think we've talked with John Tomini and Gary Perone before about the good things that have come out of this, because we all know how hard it is. We're all dealing with it. But it's those good things that we're able to do that come out of this that makes the difference. When humanity comes together and people see they can rely on each other, there's a lot of good that can be done. And I think you're totally right, Ray.
Well, that's the reason that I, in essence, wanted just to talk to the people today. No, nothing more than that. But anyway, let's move on.
All right, let's do it. And we'll get back to some of those thoughts. Right. But first things first. So there's a company that helps rename minor league baseball teams. So the Richmond Flying Squirrels, the Rocky Mountain Vibes, if you haven't seen them, with their flaming s'mores mascot, which is pretty funny. Right. The Missoula Paddleheads. I mean, they go for these outlandish names. And so we decided for this show, we would give the guests the opportunity to rename the show every time. So we've been the Hot Stovers for 2 episodes. But Ray, what should we call the show? We've had a good run with that. Need a new name.
The Hot Stove Ball Busters.
The Hot Stove Ball Busters. And Ray Negron, of all of the ball busters I know, you're up there. So welcome to the Hot Stove Ball Busters. We're gonna start. Talk to me about Henry and Me, your animated children's film. You've written children's books. I have your book, Baseball or Yankee Miracles, up there. What is it about helping kids, helping the community that you gravitate towards?
Throughout my life, just like everybody else, the only people that have ever hurt me are adults. Children have never hurt me, okay? And so in essence, I always feel that we owe it to them to keep them that way. Let's not pollute them, because by the time they become adults, then things, it is what it is. So as long as they're little kids, let's show them the right way. And that's what's important to me, to show the kids the right way. I think that I've been a good dad. I have 4 kids, and, they're all great kids. And I can't say nothing. So it's not me. It's the people. It wasn't about what I did with my kids. It's about that they were always around good people who showed them the right things in life. And I'm very grateful for all those people.
I think I saw one of your kids as it's scrolling through. I think I saw one of your kids is on here with us, so they'll let you know how you did afterwards, I guess.
Henry and Me is an animated film that stars all of my Hollywood friends who came out and did it for nothing, because I don't have no cash. So these guys, Richard Gere, Chaz Palminteri, the late Danny Aiello. I mean, they all came out. Louis Guzman, I mean, they all came out. Alex Rodriguez, Matsui, these guys, the great late Yogi Berra. I mean, they all came out and they supported me in my dream of doing an animated film. And that film is out there. And my plan is to bring that film out. I mean, I don't own the final rights on the film. You know how it works technically.
Right.
But I used to go up to George Steinbrenner. I used to say, Mr. Steinbrenner, I think that if we do this and this, we can get it done. And he used to say to me, do we own the rights to it? I used to say, no. And he said, well, just do it. We'll deal with the consequences later. And that's my plan is I'm going to get Henry and me. I want that aired. I want that aired so that the kids can see something new that they haven't seen before. And I just want it out there because it's a beautiful, beautiful story. The reviews were always great. And I want this for the kids. They're watching a lot of garbage out there right now. I want them to see Henry and me.
That would be awesome. And yeah, I mean, if you are able to do that, obviously keep us in the fold. We'll help get it out to people. But I've seen the trailer. It looks like a great film. We've talked about it so much. It's time to see it.
Exactly.
You mentioned George Steinbrenner. George Steinbrenner is probably one of the more elusive figures in sports. I mean, there's the Seinfeld way that they portray him. Everybody knew him, how the media portrayed him. I don't think there's anyone other than his children that knows him the way that you do. Can you talk about some of the things people have heard and then some of the things people haven't heard about George Steinbrenner?
Well, see, I knew him differently than most because of, how he found me back in 1973. And I, in turn, became a project because people used to say that you can't change that kid. You can't fix that kid. And when they said that, he took that as a challenge and in turn just decided that he no matter what, he was going to see me make it in this world. And for that, I am eternally grateful because what if? You understand? And I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here right now and so many different things that happened in life would not have happened had this man not given me this opportunity. Hey, he was a good friend. He wasn't a dad or anything like that. He was a good friend. I was lucky to have a friend like this, and his kids are so. I'm blessed to know them. The Steinbrenner family have been wonderful people who maintain what he wanted, which is to make the world a better place. And so, thank you, Steinbrenner family.
And on a lighter note, I guess, Luke DeCola, I saw you joined. He says, what up, boys? If you guys want to use the little question thing at the bottom, we'll get your questions in. Ray, George Steinbrenner, I believe out of love, if you weren't fired by him, he didn't really like you. He fired you once and sent you to the airport. Can you tell that story?
That was 1978. And what happened was we didn't have cell phones at the time. So I used to get his hot dogs and, stuff like that. If he had special guests, I would take care of the special guests. There wasn't thousands of people working for the Yankees like there are today. So I used to wear 15 hats. I was a bat boy. I was a chauffeur. I picked up the laundry. I babysat his son, Hal. I did everything. And so at one point he said to me, you sit by the phone. I got special guests. Don't move. And so I sat by the phone. But what had happened was I waited 3 days. The phone never rang. On the fourth day, Billy Martin said to me, I need you to go back to the hotel. I left my game notes. So I said, oh, my God, I can't say no to Billy. And I can't mess up the boss. What do I do? So I was never good at math. But I thought in my mind, 20 minutes to the hotel, 20 minutes back, 5 minutes to get the notes. I can do this. So I took off in Billy Martin's car, 20 minutes, 5 minutes upstairs, 20 minutes back. When I come back into the locker room, the traveling secretary is saying, where the F are you? He's going crazy. Get upstairs. He's mad. And I said, oh, my God. But as I'm running upstairs, I'm saying to myself, you know what? He's mad 1 minute, the next minute he's okay. So hopefully I'll get him in that minute that he's okay. But when I walk in, he's screaming at our team president, Al Rosen, because he had just made a bad trade. And I said, oh, my God. So as Rosen is walking out, he passes me and he looks at me. He says, good luck. Okay. And then he left. I said, yes, Mr. Steinbrenner. And he goes, where were you? And I told him what happened on Billy Martin, A, B, and C. He says, oh, okay, good. Who signs your checks? I said, you do, sir. Oh, okay. I sign your checks? I said, yes, you do, sir. And he says, good, okay. That means I pay you, right? I said, yes, you pay me, sir. He says, not Thurman, no. Not Billy Martin, no. Not Reggie Jackson, no. You do, sir. Okay, good. Since I pay you, I can airport, and you're going to go back to New York, and you will not go around Yankee Stadium again. Do you understand me? And I said, yes, sir, I understand. And I left. I packed. I went back. I went to the whole, airport, and then all of a sudden, Ray Negron to the white courtesy telephone. Ray Negron to the white courtesy telephone. I go to the white courtesy telephone. I pick it up and I say, hello? Where are you? And you know the voice. And I go, at the airport where you said, sir? He says, well, get your ass back over here. And don't you stop to see Billy or Reggie or Thurman. You come to see me. I said, yes, sir. Boom. And when I get back, the clubhouse manager, he is right there. He says, welcome back. And so I run upstairs. And when I run upstairs, I go right to the boss. He never mentioned it. He just said, hi, pal. Really? How you doing? I said, hi, pal. You know, and that was it. And I'm like going, oh, my God. You know? But that was the first time he fired me.
That's amazing. Let's get two questions in. We got one from Luke DeCola, one from Billy Capola. Ray, Mr. Buckwheat's going to be joining us today, but he says, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten during your career in baseball from George or from T-Bone? And Billy wants to know how you met T-Bone. So talk about Tom Giordano.
Tom Giordano was one of the greatest scouts in the history of baseball. We lost him last year. He was 92, and he had just signed a 3-year contract. He had said to Billy and me, you know what, after this contract runs out, I'll be 95. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. and that was T-Bone, and he was wonderful, and I miss him with a passion. He was a true mentor. In baseball, I had 3 fathers, 3 baseball fathers, okay? George Steinbrenner, Billy Martin, and Tom Giordano. And I don't know where I would have been without those 3 men. They were the 3 greatest men that I would know in my life. The 3 greatest men that I would know in my life.
That's beautiful. So you were drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 2nd round. Howie Hake, I believe, when he saw you at Yankee Stadium, you were just fielding during batting practice, and it ended up getting you drafted. And then you mentioned before you flamed out. What was that like, and what was that story?
I was at Shea. I was the Yankee bat boy, and we were at Shea Stadium in 1974. And that day, I was just having a spectacular day on the field. We were playing the Baltimore Orioles. I'll never forget it. And the Pirates were there to scout the Yankees and the Orioles because we were tied for first place at that time. And I'll never forget that Boog Powell had hit this incredible shot up the middle. And as the ball was going up the middle, I said, Ray, just put your glove up. And it hit a rock or something, but it took a crazy hop and it went right into the glove. And the one thing that Gene Michael always said to me, that when you make a play that's luck, act like you knew you had it anyway. And I did just that. And then after batting practice was over, Howie Hake and team president Pete Peterson were like screaming, come here, come here, come here. And then I went over and they said, listen, I want you to go to some ballpark and meet their top scout and have a workout. So I went over there and I had a very nice day over there. And next thing you know, they said, we're probably going to draft you very, very high. Mind you, George Steinbrenner had every intention of drafting me at that time also. And Pat Gillick, who's in the Hall of Fame, said, yep, Mr. Steinbrenner, we don't have to draft this kid until like 15th or 20th. And, okay. And when I got drafted in the 2nd round by the Pirates, I'll never forget the day that Steinbrenner was he almost fired Pat Gillick, who's in the Hall of Fame. Okay, but a year later, I would end up getting released anyway because I proved to America that Pat Gillick was right. I couldn't hit worth a crap, you know?
There you go. We got a couple more questions. So we've got one about Bat Boy, the musical. Is it going off Broadway? Who is the 2nd best Bat Boy to you, obviously, and then someone. It was supposed to be opening day today. So, what was your best opening day memory?
My first opening day. My first opening day was 1974. I started with the Yankees in '73, but that was June. The season was midway through. My first one was actually at Shea Stadium, and we were playing the Cleveland Indians, and it was just that I was officially the bat boy. You know what I'm saying? And I, with the Yankees of that era, they used to make you feel like you was one of the players. And so it was cool. And believe it or not, bat boys actually used to sign autographs and stuff. That's how they used to make us feel. It was
Awesome.
it was a beautiful time. It's not like that anymore because they got so many people working in the clubhouses now and all that. In those days, it was like 3 of us. That was it. Wow. So 1974 Yankees, Cleveland, and we won.
Yeah, which is like even probably cooler than all the rest of it. So do you want to talk about Bat Boy the musical or some of the other Bat Boys you encountered over the years?
Well, Bat Boy the musical, Bat Boy, my play is something that I'm very proud of because it was done because of Chaz Palminteri, who did A Bronx Tale. And Chaz was a dear friend who, at one time, somebody went up to George Steinbrenner and said, "Hey, we just saw the movie about you and Ray Negron." And they said, What are you talking about? And they told him about A Bronx Tale. He saw A Bronx Tale, and he realized what they were talking about because the characters are eerily the same. The Chaz Palminteri and the little boy and the gangster. And then there's Steinbrenner and me at that time. And it was very, it was the very similar relationship. So Chaz, throughout the years, used to say to me, "You have to do your play. You have to do your play because if not, it's not going to get done." And so about a year and a half, 2 years ago, actually, we actually did it. You actually were our production guy. And I am very, very proud of it. I'm very proud of that play. We've done it for 2 years, and we raised money for different charities. Every show would be a charity would be appointed, and in turn, after the show, the charity would go up to the box office and get their money. And I was very proud of that. I'm proud of my cast, Layla Dion, Squeegee. I mean, I can't mention everybody. Dave Revels was wonderful. I mean, it just went on. Teresa Farrell. Oh, it just on and on and on. Just what a
Mickey
great
Rivers.
cast.
The immortal Mickey Rivers.
The immortal Mickey Rivers.
You turned him into an actor from a baseball player. Yeah. He followed in your footsteps.
No. When we start up again, I hated the fact that we had to cancel all these shows. Now we just canceled actually 9 shows.
Wow.
So it's disappointing, but listen, to get our country back is the most important thing.
I'm going to do another one of my questions, and we got a couple more audience. I saw Dan Palumbo join, Coach Cuevas. Hey to everybody that's out there with us. So you ended up forming special friendships. I mean, you've already mentioned so many big names, but Reggie Jackson, Robbie Alomar. At one point in your friendship with Robbie Alomar, I found this out interviewing Charlie Manuel. Charlie Manuel and John Hart, when you were with the Indians, decided to punish Robbie Alomar by sending you, Ray Negron, who was not a player at the time, to AAA and wouldn't let you come back to the majors until Robbie behaved. Can you talk about that?
Well, what happened was Robbie Alomar had gotten hit by I don't remember the pitcher, but he got smoked real hard. And so, you know what, in baseball, there's an unwritten rule that we got to get the other guy back. So what happened was he had Bartolo Colon hit the next guy, but Bartolo Colon hit him with a changeup. And so when Robbie came in, he says, "A changeup? I got hit with a 101-mile-an-hour fastball on my ass, and you hit with a changeup? No, that doesn't go." And so Robbie stayed on the manager's ass until he finally would do it. But Charlie says, "Come on, Robbie, lighten up." And so Robbie became a little problematic. And so then at one point, Charlie Manuel says, "I'm going to send you down. I wish I could send you down to the minor leagues just to shut you up." Okay, and it didn't happen. So then John Hart and him came up with an idea. Listen, you know what? Ray's here to control him. We're going to send Ray down to the minor leagues, and when we don't bring him back until Robbie decides he's going to behave. And that's what happened. They sent me down. I'll never forget it. I was down there 2 weeks. And the end of the second week, the last day, I called up Charlie. I said, Charlie, can I come back now, please? I hate Buffalo. Please let me come back. And he says, your boy's still acting up. Take 2 more days.
That's amazing. Okay? That's so funny. Somebody said music is a big part of your life. We were going to talk about that, but what would your walk-up song be if you were a player now?
Swear to God.
Very good.
Okay, Frankie Valli. You know what I'm saying? It would be something Frankie Valli. It would be something Paul Anka, or it would be Elvis. You know what I'm saying? Totally. If it was Elvis, then the song would be "If I Could Dream."
You'd be the only ball player who might have Al Jolson as your walk-up music.
I would consider it. I would consider it.
Another audience question: what's your relationship like with Hal Steinbrenner?
I was his babysitter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I literally every spring I used to have to pick him up, take him here, take him there, etc. I mean, I was his babysitter, and I say that with pride. You know, I wish I could say that he's the fine young man because he had a great babysitter. I can't say that, you know, because he had a great mother who was right there with him. But hey, you know, he's a good guy. And I have a lot of respect for him because he has major, major responsibility. I didn't realize until he took over that team, the true responsibility that he really, really has, man. It's crazy. It really is.
Somebody asked what your Yankee memorabilia collection looks like. I've seen it. I know what it's like, but how do you describe it?
You know what? For 40 years, throughout the years, I always collected something that was special or important to me. I just didn't collect just to collect, okay? It had to be significant. Catfish Hunter, you know, so I wanted his shoes because he used to wear a Puma, you know what I'm saying? And he was incredible. He was wonderful. He was a dear, dear friend. And one that the audience will get a kick out of. Reggie Jackson hits the 3 home runs in 1977. So after the game, he's sitting by his locker, just holding the bat, you know what I'm saying? And squeezing the handle. And so I go up to him and I said, Reggie, you love me? He said, you're my man, Ray. And so I said, can I have the bat? And he looks at me and says, are you retarded? He said, no, you can't have the bat. You crazy? And said, dang, man. And so I said, can I have something significant of tonight? And so he, at that moment, was taking off his jock strap. So he threw his jock strap at me. So you know what I did? I took the jock strap and I put it in my bag. He said, what are you doing? And I said, you gave me the jock strap. He said, oh, listen, you're out of control. You're crazy. Never mind. And to this day, as you well know, the jock strap is hanging in my trophy room.
Yes, it is. another great, and that's a great way to sum up. I
gotta tell you one, an epilogue to that.
Go ahead.
Years later, Richard Gere would come to my house, and he would see the jock strap, and he would say, Ray, what's with the jock strap? So I told him the story. He says, oh, okay, that's interesting. The next day, he was at the Yankees fantasy camp. The equipment man says, excuse me, Ray, Mr. Gere wants to see you. So I walk over to his locker and I said, Richard, you wanted me? He says, yeah. He takes off his underwear and threw it at me. Okay, so the underwear is actually hanging in my house too.
Oh, you are the best. Someone asked what your most treasured item was, but I feel like we maybe just answered that. So
no, my most treasured item is a letter from George Steinbrenner, of which he, in essence, told me what he felt about me and what he had expected for me to accomplish in life. And that hangs very prominently in my house. And, you know, I read it 20 times a year, as you know, in order to get my momentum going again, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That if a man as powerful as George Steinbrenner could write a letter like that to me, could take the time to write a letter like that to me, that meant the world, you know, that meant the world. And that happened after my first book became a national bestseller. And I know how happy he was when that happened. So that's
awesome.
my most.
You guys can keep writing in questions. We're going to go with a couple more things, tell some stories, and we'll come back to your questions in just a minute. So you have taken to social media to deal with everything that's going on. You're a very emotional person. You have utilized the medium to just sort of talk to people about what you're feeling. And I know that Luis Guzman, who's one of the best character actors around, actually reached out to you when he had a friend who was making, I think it was the swabs, the tests for COVID-19. And he said, I want to get this to people. You connected him with the mayor's or the governor's office. And you have a lawyer friend who's made same thing with masks. You were able to connect him with the right people. So what are some of the best things that have happened during this? We know that it's been really hard, like we were saying before, but talk about that stuff. What are some good things that you've seen come of this whole pandemic and everything that's gone with it?
It's much too early to say what's the best thing that happened, because for me, until when we get our country back, when we become free again, okay? Because when we become free again, then I can answer that question. Right now, I'm too emotional to say that anything good has happened. When people come and reach to me because they think I know somebody, like when Luis Guzman called me, it's just about, hey, let's get the job done, let's get it over there. Somebody said to me, Ray, you make that call, because if not, somebody else is going to get the credit. This is not about credit, man. This is about life. This is about living. The hell with credit. Let's just get it done. You know, ego and everything else. You know, ego doesn't work on earth, and ego doesn't work in heaven, okay, or in hell. So come on, let's stop the BS and get the job done. And let's get our world back. And let me just say, I mean, I feel confined right now, and shame on me for that. Shame on me, because I think about Anne Frank, Diary of Anne Frank, and about that little girl, and that she had to sit in an attic with her family for 2 years with little food. Please, this is nothing. This is nothing. We have cable. We have cable. This is nothing.
We have Instagram
shows. I don't get paid enough to have cable, so I don't have cable. I'm being honest. I don't have cable. Okay.
Oh man. All right, let's do some rapid fire. I'm going to ask you some of your favorite things. Respond as quickly as you can. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Favorite vanilla. Simple.
Favorite book?
Yankee Miracles, my book, because it's the best. I'm sorry. Yes, I wrote it. Yes, with Sally Cook. Sally was wonderful, my co-author, and it's the best baseball book ever written. It is by far, not even close. And it's supposed to be turned into an 8-part miniseries with Kelsey Grammer and A&E. And I mean, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be announcing that right now, but I did. I don't care. And you know, because we may never get to the point of doing it because of everything that's happened, you know, but Yankee Miracles is by far, you know, Hunter, baby, you know.
Favorite player growing up?
Mickey Mantle, and then Bobby Mercer. Okay, Mickey Mantle was a god. And when I saw that number 7 coming out of I mean, he was bigger than life. He was bigger than life. And then Bobby Mercer was like Amazing Grace. That's what I used to call Bobby Mercer, Amazing Grace, because he was so graceful, so incredible, so wonderful. I was his buddy. You know, his family's incredible. Bobby Mercer, man. And then Thurman Munson. I love Thurman. Thurman was my brother, my big brother, and I miss him with a passion. And I still cry for Thurman.
I know you were big in trying to get him into the Hall of Fame with the group when that was just
He belongs
happening.
in the Hall of Fame. How could he not be in the Hall of Fame? How could he not be in the Hall of Fame? With the best catcher of the 90s. How could he, excuse me, Ray, get it together. The best catcher of the 70s. I'm sorry, Johnny Bench, but I saw my man every day, and he was incredible in the locker room. He was incredible on the field. Forget about it. Thurman Munson was unbelievable. And he was my favorite.
Yeah, we know about Reggie. Yeah, we saw you showed us the afro.
I
and the
love
mustache.
I love Reggie. I love Reggie. Reggie was another brother to me. He was a big brother in that time, and Reggie showed me a lot. He helped me grow up. Reggie helped me grow up. Period. And he's my son's godfather. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud that I was there with Reggie. You hit the 3 home runs.
Absolutely. You mentioned he's your son's godfather. You've got one son that's a Golden Gloves boxer. Another one was drafted by the Braves and played for the Blue Jays. 2 of them are Suffolk County police officers. You got an amazing family. You want to just talk a little bit about that? And what was it like to watch your son playing professional baseball?
My son didn't want to play professional baseball. And when he got drafted, he said, I did that more for you than for me. And I thank him for that, because I was living through him, because I wanted to see him in a professional baseball uniform. And when he got his contract to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays, he didn't want to do it. The Yankees offered to sign him. Reggie Jackson asked him to sign with the Yankees. Randy Levine asked him to sign with the Yankees. He wouldn't sign with the Yankees because he said, it was a favor to you, Dad. It wasn't because of me. So he wouldn't sign with the Yankees. The Blue Jays gave him a 2-week tryout. Thank you, Mark Shapiro and the Blue Jays organization for that. They gave him a tryout, and I didn't expect for them to sign him, but he proved himself. And when they gave him the contract, he brought it home and he said, I don't know that I'm going to sign this contract. And I said, oh, I understand. And as I was walking out the door, I said, Jesus, I can't just walk out. And I said, I got to go back. I got to be selfish here. And I said, Ricky, please do it for me, Ricky, please. And he said, I'll let you know. That's what he said, I'll let you know. And I wanted to kick his ass right there. And then the next morning, I got a text. I signed the contract. I'm playing against the Pirates this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I had to get in my car and rush and drive to Bradenton. I got there just in time, and I pulled out my telephone. And his second at bat, he got a line drive base hit the left field. And as he crossed first base, he looks for me and he goes, "Is that okay?" And I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. I got mine. I saw my son get his hit. You know.
Oh man. For anybody who has been on an airline like in the last 6 months, the film that you helped to produce, Joe Manganiello is in it, Sofia Vergara, called Bottom of the Ninth. I've seen it on American Airlines, like, every flight I've taken. What was it like working with them? And I think you got Stick Michael, who you mentioned before, to make a cameo right before he passed away. So what was that like? You made a cameo.
The film was produced by Bill Shardoff of Rocky fame. Okay, and so when they called me to be a producer in that project, I was honored because I wanted to work with the man who did Rocky. You know what I'm saying? And the guy that was originally supposed to direct it was directed by Raymond DeFalita, who did the wonderful film In the Bronx, and I can't think of it right now. But our original director was John Avildsen, Academy Award winner. And he came to New York to see me. And the reason he came to see me was he wanted to do Yankee Miracles. Okay. And then he died, unfortunately.
Right.
And so when the people from Bottom of the Ninth came to me and said, Ray, we want you to be a producer, I was honored. And to work with Joe Manganiello was terrific. To work with Sofia Vergara I mean, to me, she's the Latin Lucille Ball, you know, and she was wonderful, and it was a wonderful experience because I got to hire a lot of the actors in it that were baseball players, and it was it was a big thrill. It was just a wonderful time, and that's it. The film is a terrific film. I mean, it came out much better than I anticipated because we didn't have a large budget.
Right.
But you know, Ray DiFelitta did a wonderful job, as did the writer
Robert
Bruce.
Bruzio.
Yeah, he did. He wrote a beautiful script, and I'll never forget that when we were walking on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and you saw all the trailers to the movie, and all the actors. And I turned to Robert and I turned to his father, Robert's father, and I said, Robert, do you understand that because of you, all of these people are working, including me? You know, and I thought, you know, that was so cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for mentioning Bottom of the Ninth.
Of course. Another cool thing, I mean, I've been to your house, and when you watch you on social media, music plays such a large role. Someone mentioned that in the comments. You've made beautiful friendships with like Frankie Valli, all these people you've mentioned while around, Jose Feliciano. What is that like?
Frankie Valli will always be like my uncle, and Robbie Robinson, his musical director, will always be my brother. And you know, Frankie Valli, you know, I mean, he's a musical god. You know, he's a musical god, and every time I'm around him, I'm thrilled. Okay, I've been around this man for 30 years, and every time it's always like the first time, and I love him with a passion. He is one of my true heroes. He really, really is, as is Robbie Robinson, because Robbie's accepted me. Robbie Robinson has worked with everybody, Tom Jones, you name it, and he's, you know, we're literally like brothers, and I've gotten to interview him on some TV specials and stuff like that, and it's been fun. He's great, and I've actually gotten to sing with the Four Seasons,
which is pretty cool.
I didn't say that I sang good, but I sang with them, and you know, they would call me the Fifth Season. You know what I'm saying?
The fifth season, Ray Negron. There
Yeah.
you go. All right, I'm going to show you some baseball cards quickly. You're going to tell me the first thing that comes to mind about these players.
Okay, who's that?
Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Colon's a sweetheart, big, sexy, little fat guy who thought he can get all the girls. And you know what was funny? I was supposed to like keep him from drinking on airplane flights because he was afraid of flying. But what the Indians didn't realize, I was more afraid of flying. So the minute that we would get on the plane, I would say, Bartolo, I would start to hyperventilate. And I would say, Bartolo, please, do you have one of those bottles of vodka? Give it to me. And by the time we would land in our destination, I was as hammered as Bartolo was.
There you go. Next one. Bobby Richardson.
Great man, just a wonderful man. He's a true Christian and a true Yankee, and I'm blessed to have gotten to meet him. I don't know Bobby Richardson, but I've met him many times throughout my Yankee career.
All right, next one, someone that you've had some experience with, Alex Rodriguez.
You know what? So many people say bad things, good things, etc. I have nothing negative to say about Alex Rodriguez. Okay, my big thing is about helping the kids in the Bronx. My big thing is about if a kid is not in a uniform, that means he's not in a team. And so Alex Rodriguez every year for 10 years gave me $10,000 to give to the kids, make sure that these kids were playing on leagues. And you know what? Kids that would be getting into trouble did not get into trouble because of Alex Rodriguez. And Alex was not afraid to cross the street. We would go across the street and play stickball with these kids, and it was wonderful. And Alex, I am eternally grateful for what you did. I mean, I love Alex Rodriguez, period.
Amazing. All right, we got Dave Winfield.
Dave Winfield, the thing that I remember about Winfield was that I had a very close relationship with Sammy Davis Jr. And so when Dave Winfield came to the Yankees, somebody told him that. And so Dave found out that Sammy was performing in Fort Lauderdale, our spring training site. And so he, for a week, begged me to take him to Sammy's hotel. He didn't want to take him. He didn't want to go to the theater. He wanted to go to the hotel so he could really sit down with Sammy. And so I introduced him to Sammy Davis Jr. And after that, he was my buddy.
There you go. All right, last one of these. This is a twofer. They're on the Mets, but they're both Yankees. Doc and Daryl. There was a documentary made. Talk about the two of them in your relationship.
As much as they say that they're eternally grateful to me, I am eternally grateful to them. They're, you know what? To know them is to love them. Two of the greatest guys you'll ever know. And during my struggles in trying to help them, especially Doc helped me in different things that I can't talk about.
Totally.
And hey, they're my friends. That's all.
There you go. All right. Shout out. Hey, Evan Spiegel, to everybody who's still watching. We got a couple more questions. Ray, we might get cut off in a couple of minutes. If we do, we can just start it back up and finish out, and people can come right back like we did last time, if that works for you. So,
hey, I just want to say before we get cut off that a special thank you to Frank Sinatra. He was a good friend. Not that he was a good friend, but he accepted me as a friend. You understand? And to this day, they have a marker at Patsy's on 56 on Broadway, which represents the first time that me and Mr. Sinatra and Sammy and Billy Martin actually had a dinner together there. And I miss him very much.
it's beautiful. That's pretty cool, too. I mean, everything you say, people are going, what? And this leads into the next question. So Billy Coppola, who is on here, would say to me all the time when he was talking about the work he did with T-Bone, how he was like Forrest Gump, you know, right place, right time, and he was witnessing history. And pretty much everything you say, you've been able to help the at-risk youth in the Bronx. That's where you started. You saw terrible things happen to, family members, to friends, and you've been able to meet all of these people to change so many lives. Can you talk about your Forrest Gump-like existence?
My life just tells me that there is a God, and he put me here like he puts all of us here for a reason. We're all here as soldiers of the Lord, and if it's up to us to decide whether we're going to follow his instructions, whether we learn to follow his instructions to, in essence, do what we're supposed to do while we are here in this very short time and existence called life. And I just thank God every day that he did have me here for a reason, and that I did hear the orders, and that every day I try. It's not easy. I fall off the wagon a lot, and I thank God for always letting me get back on that train.
You talk about the spirits at Huggins Stengel Field. I mean, you gave everyone a tour when we started all the time. You talk about the spirits of old Yankee Stadium. You took Derek Jeter to the Lou Gehrig room, as you call it. Can you talk about your faith and spirituality in the game of baseball? We know you're a religious man, but you also have this spirituality through baseball. So talk about that stuff. Talk about Jeter and that experience, all of it.
It's not, I wouldn't term myself being a religious guy, but I am a believer. You know what I'm saying? I don't preach it to anybody or anything like that, but I talk to myself about it. I guess you might think I'm crazy, but in my mind, like at the old Yankee Stadium with the monuments and all that were out there, I felt Lou Gehrig. I felt Mickey Mantle. I felt Babe Ruth. And the only other place that I ever felt that was here, And it's just something weird that it motivates me and it keeps me going. And I will never forget that in New York, at the old Yankee Stadium, Mrs. Lou Gehrig had told me about the room where her husband used to sit and cry and pray when he had ALS. And so I used to go into that room all the time. And as years went on, I had this great artist do a caricature of Lou Gehrig. And when he did the Lou Gehrig, then I asked him if he would do Thurman. And then after he did Thurman, he also did Jeter, the three core captains. And so for years, I was always trying to make Jeter, the artist was James Ferrantino, wonderful artist. And I used to make Jeter try to go in there. He would never go in, never go in. 10 years passed, he wouldn't go in. And then it was the last weekend of the season. All the players from every other team, when they were coming in to watch for the last weekend, they all wanted to go to that room. They all, I forget about it. Some guys even actually prayed in that room. And so then finally, on the last day, that last weekend, I accidentally bumped into Jeter in the hallway. And I said to him, "This is not an accident, brother." And he says, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Are you ready to go see the room? Are you ready? Because after this weekend, it's too late." And so he said, "Let's go." And when we walked into that room, I mean, and he looked at the pillar with the caricatures. It was like something came over him, and he just, like, his arms, you could see the goosebumps all over his arms. And all of a sudden he said, "Oh my God, it does exist." The next day, he was back in the room. The next day. And then the day after that, he had a photographer from Sports Illustrated come in and take pictures.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're good at segues. So my next question actually has to do with Sports Illustrated. You've been in Sports Illustrated a few times. And my favorite thing that I've seen on you that was in Sports Illustrated, the last day of Yankee Stadium. It's like a movie. I think you got to get Robert Bruzio and we'll make this movie. But the last day of Yankee Stadium, after the last game, you, your friend Aris, and Caesar Pressbot waited around all night. There's an article on this. We could link to it. Waited around all night. All the people to leave, the interviews, people were grabbing all kinds of dirt and everything from the field. And you waited because you wanted to take the last at bat and hit the last home run at Yankee Stadium. Take the story from there and walk everybody through what happened.
So I waited until, all the grounds crew and everybody was like, they were like celebrating, having beers on the field. And we weren't supposed to do this. So we just waited. We hid in the players' workout room until everybody finally left the field. And it was like about almost 5 o'clock in the morning. And we went out on the field. It was misty. So the balls had gotten really wet. And so I went up and Aris was pitching to me. And I started hitting. I got loose. I hit a couple of balls off the wall. And then I hit one ball that just went foul. So Aris started lying to me and saying, "You did it, yeah." And I said, who are you talking to, MF? I didn't hit it. That was foul. I can lie to me, but I can't lie to the gods. Okay? And I kept on trying, but I just couldn't do it. And I at one point, my groin started to go on me. And I looked down, and in my mind, there was a catcher there. And the catcher was Thurman Munson. And he said, "Ray, don't you understand? You've already hit a home run." And I stopped right there.
It's a beautiful thing. I would definitely suggest just Google Ray Negron last at bat at Yankee Stadium. You'll find the article. Beautiful story. So, and for all those trivia buffs out there, right? That's the answer. Who had the last at bat at Yankee Stadium? It was Ray Negron, the old Yankee Stadium. We got a couple more audience questions, and then we'll let you go. You've been very, very awesome, and people have said how much they really appreciated you doing this. Someone said that an usher that they know from Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals play, died of ALS in December. You've done a lot of work with kids with ALS. Do you want to talk about that and obviously the Lou Gehrig connection?
You know, George Steinbrenner had a saying. I went up to him one day and I said, "Look, there's a bunch of kids out here. Can we do something for them?" And he says, "Well, why shouldn't we?" I said, "Because they have no affiliation with anybody, and that's always a big thing." You know what I'm saying? And so then he said, "F labels," and I go, "Excuse me, sir, F labels." You know, he used the word, and he says, "Just get them in here. Let's do whatever we can for them." Okay, and always remember one thing, Ray. Do what you got to do. Deal with the consequences later. Okay, and that was very important to me. So whether someone has ALS or cancer or whatever the situation may be, it's just, you know, I really don't care what it is, as long as if there's something that we could possibly do, we do. And that's always been like a big Yankee thing. You know, the Yankees have been great in that regard. Randy Levine, our team president, or Lon Trost, I mean, they're big on that stuff. They're big on it, you know. And then we have our community relations director, Brian Smith, who's been doing that forever. And he does an incredible job with his staff over there. So it's a big deal.
All right, last question from me. What does baseball mean to you, Ray Negron?
Baseball is life for me. You know what I'm saying? It's given me life. I mean, I always wonder, suppose I didn't have baseball, what would I have been doing? I mean, all jobs are important. Baseball is a game. So every day that I get up, I try to realize that I have to do something good to warrant me being in baseball. You understand? If not, I'll be guilty. Because baseball is a beautiful game. It's what it is. I wish everybody could work in baseball.
Awesome, Ray. Great answer, as usual. All right, so is there anything else that you want to tell people, that you want to throw out there before we wrap this up, that we haven't covered, stories, whatever it is? The floor is yours.
You know, just the most important word in the world is love. I'm not trying to be corny or anything like that, but you know, those four guys from England wouldn't be singing all them songs and becoming multi-billionaires if it wasn't for the word love, you know, and I'm talking about the Beatles, naturally. You know, love is so important that if we put more emphasis on the word as opposed to everything else, what a world this would be. What a world this would be. You know, I mean, I'm amazed at the fact that we just don't understand that. We just don't understand. And we are our own worst enemies. And it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be.
That's a great way to end it, Ray. I think that's truly beautiful, and you're a shining example of that and the things that you can do. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Sean over at Tasco and the stuff that they're doing. Would love to be down there soon. Can't wait.
I have to say that I want to thank Ron Goldman from what's the company?
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security. You know, he's kept me abreast of what's going on, and the work that they do over there is incredible. You know, and I have to also thank the governor of New York and his office and his staff, because they've helped lead me in certain things that I needed to do, and the bottom line, and Travis, Mr. Trump's attorney in Washington, he's, again, thank you for always being there for me, Travis. I appreciate you.
Awesome, Ray. So, New York Times bestselling author, New York Yankees community consultant. Thank you to you,
New
Ray
York
Negron.
State Baseball Hall of Fame. You can't leave
New
them
York
out.
State New York State Baseball Hall of Famer. Oh, the list goes on. Ted Williams.
Not me, but them, what they do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Ray, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Business Lunch Productions, to the New York Pro Scouts. And what did we call the show? The Pro Scout Ballbusters?
Yeah.
There you go. Pro Scout Ballbusters. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an hour to let go.
We'll put this up, so we'll talk to you all soon. See you soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye, Ray.